What's up, everybody? Welcome to Del on Movies and another episode of Movie Swap. This is episode number 66. Tonight is a big treat for me because it's somebody that I've been following for quite a while, and we're getting to talk face to face or sort of face to face for the very first time. She's a very knowledgeable horror fan, and she's going to impart some knowledge on me, I'm sure, tonight. And I am talking about Lady Shasha. How you doing, Lady Shasha?
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I've been following you for, I know it's been more than a year, maybe closer to 2 years. And like I said, you're very, very knowledgeable horror fan, and you're also a cosplayer.
Yes.
So my question to you, because I have a lot of creators on, this, especially when I have black creators who are horror fans, they kind of express a similar thing where, growing up, there wasn't that many horror fans around me.
Oh, I could tell you
And
stories.
right, right. But from an outsider point of view, because I'm not a cosplayer, the closest I get is all the T-shirts that I have.
hmm
It seems like you're even more of an outsider in that world. So how did that come up? Am I right? And how did that come about?
Oh, yes. Oh, and speaking of t-shirts, I do have a lot of horror t-shirts. I have a horror t-shirt collection. I have one on today. I'll show everybody. This one is Ready or Not. Here I come, and of course, got my
Oh, I
Freddy.
love that one.
Yeah, that's my favorite slasher is Freddy. Only second to I guess this my second favorite would be Chucky, but Freddy all the way. But yes, growing up, especially I was in high school in the '90s. And back in the day, not only do you not tell people you're a cosplayer, you don't tell people about conventions. And I remember I was very fortunate because I come from a geek family. My parents are both have different type of geekdoms, and my older brother too. So my mother is all about Star Trek. She is a Trekkie. The first convention I ever went to was the Star Trek Next Generation convention, and it was empty. You talking maybe 200 people max at the convention back then
Right.
because it
Yeah.
was still kind of
Yeah.
a taboo to be in a fandom. And then she also is everything Marvel. So I learned about Marvel through my mother. And then my father was Star Wars and Lord of the Rings. Anything Star Wars, anything Lord of the Rings. I remember my dad bought a sword that's from Lord of the Rings. And then my older brother, this is the ultimate. He is a Whovian. Do you know what a Whovian is?
Are we talking about like Doctor Who?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
apparently their fandom is called Whovians, and they're like really, really. I guess it's pretty mainstream now, but back then I don't think it was very mainstream. But yeah, I
Right.
was
Right.
very fortunate to come from like a kind of geek culture family, so I was never discouraged from doing it. And also, both sides of my family love Halloween, so we there was always Halloween parties, always dressing up, and I just got more and more into it.
Okay, cool. I'm actually excited to hear that. I'm happy to hear that. I got a couple years on you, hearing that you grew up. You were in high school in the '90s. I got a couple years on you, and I remember we hearing about people going to convention. It was like, well, that's weird. Why would anybody do that?
hmm
Show's cool, but why would I want to do that? Then it's grown over time, and they're everywhere. The other night, matter of fact, well, I guess it was last week. Sometime you did a live on air. You were making yourself up as Chucky.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was
hmm
that was pretty cool. And I heard you just say Chucky is your next favorite after Freddy.
hmm
So I'm gonna tell you, I got a kind of an interesting relationship with Chucky. Like I like his movies, but he's always a little too goofy for me to put as like one of the higher echelons. So why
hmm
Chucky?
Oh, I just love his shit talking.
Okay.
Like the first time when homegirl said, "I'm gonna throw you into the fire if you don't talk," and he started cursing her out, I was like, I love this doll. But also, another one that I love is Black Devil Doll from Hell, which is like not at all for children. If you've ever seen Black Devil Doll from Hell,
I've not seen it.
oh, you've got to look that up. I believe it's uploaded to YouTube for free. It's also an internet archive to watch for free. He's pretty much Black Chucky, but he's worse. Like his mouth
Right.
is way worse.
Oh, okay. I've heard
hmm
of it. I've heard people talk about it, but like I said, I've never seen it.
hmm
Does it just for my own benefit? If I go searching for it, are there alternate titles to look out for?
No, it's just Black Devil Doll from Hell, and you want
Okay.
to find the one from the '80s, not the remake. They did a remake in the 2000s, but I think they didn't get it. I think the remake was actually not done by Black people, and I feel like it misses some of the context of the original Black Devil Doll from Hell,
Right.
because that was an independent film shot on VHS. I think the director's name is Chester Novell Turner. I think it's Chester Novell Turner,
Okay.
and he did that, and he did Tales from the Quaded Zone, which is like a horror anthology, both in the '80s, both shot on VHS. And I just happened to stumble upon that just at a mom and pop video store.
Okay. So I used to frequent a lot of those shops. I don't remember ever coming across anything like
Mm-hmm.
that. I would have begged and begged to get to rent that back then. But yeah, alas, it didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Next question for you really is, so we established that the family upbringing and how you got into the cosplay. Now, horror in general, why horror over other things?
I like the creativity of it. I think one of the things that really drew me to horror, well, aside from being born into it, I've told the story before, but I will mention it again. I'm
Yeah.
basically like third or fourth generation into this horror thing, because my great grandmother went to the movies to see all of the Universal monster movies.
Oh
And then
wow.
my grandmother, her favorite show is Dark Shadows, which is a vampire soap opera.
My mom used
And
to watch Dark Shadows.
yeah,
Yes.
exactly. So you know everything about Barnabas Collins and all that. And
Mhm,
then
mhm.
my mother, she's more into horror sci-fi, so she took her and my dad took me to see things like um, John Carpenter's The Thing, Alien, The Fly, the Cronenberg The Fly. So I got into the horror sci-fi that way. But I discovered slasher movies on my own, because my parents, they don't do slasher movies. It actually scares them. I'm not scared of
Wow.
slasher movies at all, but I find them very entertaining. And that
Yeah.
was all cable TV. They messed around and let me have cable TV in my room. And that's when I discovered slasher movies.
Oh yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
I just ever since, that's been like my favorite subgenre, slasher. And then the second favorite would be body horror.
Yeah. Slash was probably my favorite subgenre also. And I was coming of age right when Friday the 13th was hitting it and hitting it
Hmm.
big. So it was like just a little after Halloween, so Friday the 13th and all that stuff.
Hmm.
And so for me, even though I love them, slashers are like one of the least scary subgenres.
Yeah, they are. That,
Yeah.
like, I could fall asleep to a slasher movie.
Yeah, yeah. So it's kind of interesting to hear your parents say
Hmm.
that, those scared them and not some other things.
Hmm. Well, from their generation, I think even when they took us to see stuff like The Thing and The Fly, I don't think they were prepared for what it was going to be like, because they grew up with the original Thing from Another World, or The
Right,
Fly, or
right.
The Blob from the 1950s. Like my mother was born in about 54, my dad was born in 48. So
Mhm.
the horror they grew up with was way more tame than what they took us to see. Because I remember, I can still remember my father when the Thing actually, when the chest opened up, and what's his name put his, I think it was I forget his name, the guy that had the diabetes commercials, his hands got
Oh,
put
yeah, yeah.
inside the chest, and I just heard my dad, God damn. He was not expecting that.
My, my mom was actually born in '54, my dad 49.
Hmm.
So yeah, we got some things in common, and it sounds like your parents were kinda on the same time mine was on. They were
Hmm.
really lenient about what I got to watch.
Oh yeah, I think it's just they didn't expect it to be as hardcore as what it was, because compared to what they grew up with, like, they had no clue.
Right, right, right. Because my mom, she watched stuff like she watched Dark Shadows and
Hmm.
Hitchcock Mysteries on TV, the TV series,
Hmm.
and yeah, she saw Psycho and all the Hitchcock movies
Yes.
and some of the horror movies from the '60s and early '70s. But she didn't do stuff when it started getting hardcore. She didn't get into like Texas Chainsaw Massacre
Hmm.
and things of that nature. Those were things that I, like you, just kind of discovered, and it's like, oh
Hmm.
wow, look at this. This is different. This is cool.
Hmm.
So we got a similar kind of story happening. Now, you are there other genres besides horror that you do get into though?
Oh yeah, thrillers. I love. I Oddly enough, I like psychosexual thrillers,
Okay.
stuff that's like oh god, what's the name of the movie where the lady was boiling the bunny?
Oh, Fatal Attraction.
Fatal Attraction, yeah.
Yeah.
Basic Instinct, the Crush, I think it was called The Crush, and some
Hmm.
of the modern ones that are coming out on Tubi, which are pretty much like black versions of those.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
the Hand That Rocks the Cradle, I like stuff like that. But I
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
like really stupid comedies, like Napoleon Dynamite stupid.
Yeah.
like like I
Napoleon Dynamite is going to feature in a video of mine coming up tomorrow. I'm doing a series where I go year by year since
mhm,
2000, my top 10 every year.
mhm,
And spoiler for any people who watch my channel regularly, Napoleon Dynamite is on that list because I'm doing
mhm.
2004 next. So
Oh,
yeah, I
great.
love Napoleon Dynamite too. It's an amazing movie as far as I'm concerned.
And I have two guilty pleasures. One is 80s frat comedies, stuff like Animal House, Porky's,
Yeah,
Revenge
oh
of the
yeah,
Nerds, those, and then sword and sorcery movies. Like
okay.
really,
Yeah, like
really bad.
Beastmaster and stuff like that.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Deathstalker and oh, what was the one? It was the Sword and the Sorceress, like stuff like that.
Hmm. I was a little boy in the early '80s, a teenage boy in the early '80s and mid
Hmm.
'80s. So yeah, Porky's, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and anything
Yep.
with boobs in it was my jam. So
Hmm.
that's just what it was.
Hmm.
All right, we do have some people in the chat. Let's see who's hanging out with us tonight. And first up is Stacy. Hey, Stacy. She says excited for a terrific program. Stacy generally has lots of questions. Let's see what happens. She says you need a trick or treat squad. Pick one of each. Pick one Ghostbuster character you like best. Pick one interview with the vampire character you like best. Pick one Jaws character you like best. That's doozy. That's a lot.
Oh
Can you
wow.
handle that one now, or you
Oh
need some
yeah,
time?
yeah. Let me see. Trick or Treat Squad. One Ghostbuster, Winston Zedmore. That's the Ghostbuster. Pick one. As a matter of fact, I had just got my patches. I know. You guys have to excuse me. I have ADHD, and sometimes I will jump off topic, but still be on topic. And I was so happy. I just finally got my Zedmore patch to make my
Oh,
Ghostbusters
cool.
outfit. But yeah, Winston Zedmore. One interview with a vampire. I'm going to say Lestat because he is a messy bitch who lives for drama. And
Yeah.
Jaws character. I'm trying to remember the names of the characters from Jaws. I would
Um,
go. I'm gonna go with Richard Dreyfuss's character.
yeah, it's good. That
Yeah,
is good choice. I was
mhm.
gonna go with the guy who owns the boat.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. He was good too.
I was gonna go with that guy, Winston. He would be my
Hmm.
choice too. Uh, and well, I mean, who else but Lestat would you do from
Hmm. Because
Interview with the
Louis
Vampire?
whines too much.
Yes, 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 yes. That is that's very true. Tony Man 100. Hey Del. Hey LS. So you're a visitor on our stream, so it's only right to say what's up. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Hmm.
Steve is always here. He says hi.
Hey, Steve.
A- Adrian is another one always here. I can count on Adrian. What's going on,
He
Adrian?
says, "Hey."
Midnight Messiah returns. Says, hey everyone. I believe you're also new to my
Hmm.
channel, so thank you for popping in. One of my favorites, Caprice, aka Draculina Horror. He says, "Hello, Del." I can't do it like she does it, but I'll just read it. Hello, Del, darling, and hello, Sasha. Hello, my darlings in the chat. So she has a real kind of Earthy Kit vibe when she says it. So
Yes, and I love her name, Draculina Hara.
yes, she's also a big horror buff. Also has been on the channel before. We'll have to get her back up here.
Hmm.
The Twins Double Feature Podcast. Hey everyone, so awesome having Shasha on the show. Yes, it is. My guy Corey is here. Corey from Wilkie's Movies and Music. Had you
Very
done
cool.
Corey's? I think I saw you on Corey's show one time. Did I or did I not?
Me, no. I think this is my
Okay.
first time meeting him.
Okay. It must have been someone else, and I
Mhm.
apologize.
Oh, it's okay.
Patrick is
Yep,
here. Have Cheetah Will View.
I have been on Patrick's show before. Yeah.
That's probably where I saw it because I
Hmm.
see people in so many different places. I lose track.
Hmm.
And of course, as everybody in my chat knows, I'm skipping over all the highs and all those. I'm just looking for people who have popped in or have
Hmm.
questions or comments or anything like that, just to keep things moving on. And Patrick was listening about Star Trek, Live Long and Prosper.
Yes.
And just as an
See if I can do
aside,
it again.
good. I was going to ask, can you do that? All
Yep.
right. Not everybody can. And And if I miss anybody, I apologize. I will duck back, and it looks like Ian is here. And we might have everybody. And I think we do. If not, we will get them next time. All right, so we can go ahead and get started. And I want to be respectful of your time, so I'm going to let everybody in the chat know that later on this evening, my guest has a live stream of her own. So if we finish here, go ahead and pop over to her stream. And later on in the end, she'll tell you what it's all about and all that good stuff. But first, I want to start off by asking you to let the good people know what what movie. Just one more. I'm just going to hide that. Sorry. What you had me watch for the very first time.
I had him watch this cute little, I guess, lesser talked about. It's not lesser known, but lesser talked about slasher movie from the 70s called Alice Sweet Alice. It's also known as Communion, and I think it has a few other, I think there's another one called Holy Blood or something. It's
Holy
got a lot
terror.
of titles. Holy Terror, yes. It has a lot of titles, but most people know it as Alice Sweet Alice.
So Holy Terror is how it came on. I watched it on
Hmm.
Amazon Prime.
Yep.
And when it starts, that's the title card that comes up. And I literally stopped to be like, wait, am I watching the right movie? When I had to kind of do a little research, you hit the pause button and the title pops up. And it says
Hmm.
Alice Sweet Alice. I said, oh, okay, cool. Can you give us just a brief synopsis of what Alice Sweet Alice is all about?
It's the original title Communion actually suits it best because it does center around a young girl's communion or would be communion before what happens to her happens to her. Are we spoiling the movie?
Yeah, we will.
Oh yeah. The young girl is Karen, and she's played by Brooke Shields. I think this is Brooke Shields' first movie role,
I think
and
so.
she has a sister named Alice who is very different. I would say kind of crazy, kind of nuts, kind of out there. And the mother never really addresses why her sister is crazy, or she's kind of a very permissive parent. And at first, you just think that Alice is very jealous of Karen because Karen's communion is coming up, and so Karen is getting all this attention with preparing her dress and her veil and all the other things that she needs to do for communion, which would be like a if you're not Catholic, it's like a coming of age um, ceremony where you are now giving your life over to Christ as quote unquote as an older person, as an adult, even though the children that do go through communion are not technically adults, but they're saying that they're in charge of their own self as a big kid, basically. A similar thing would be like maybe a bat mitzvah for a Jewish girl. It's that type of ceremony. And so Karen never makes it to her communion because she gets killed and set on fire and put into a deacon's bench at a church. And everyone thinks that Alice has done this to her sister since she had shown that she was jealous of her sister's whole time and was doing all kind of awful things. She also does awful things at school, and she has a foul mouth, and she's basically the number one subject. But what I love about this movie is it does throw you a curveball that I was
It
not
does.
expecting.
Yeah, it does. It did. We'll get to that in a little bit. Um, so just my first thing was uh in this church. Well, first thing, Alice, all they're working overtime to make Alice feel like a jealous sister who's also just can't control her evil impulses, I guess.
Hmm.
Um, and so she's doing things right from the start to Alice. And when we get to that church, my surprise was that it happened not completely publicly, but it was in a public place, in a public setting, like right before she's supposed to walk out and
Hmm.
take this communion with all the other little girls that are all there. And so I thought that was a great scene. If you could remember however far back was the first time you watched it, how were you feeling the first time you saw that happen, that play out?
I was really surprised because I think I was about the age of these girls when I was watching it. I caught it one late night. I can't remember what channel on cable. It just was on, and I think I even missed the title of it because I had been looking for it for years because I didn't catch the back in the day. If something was playing on cable, you didn't catch it from the beginning, you might not know the title until
Right.
until they just changed cable over in the 2000s and it went digital and you can hit the button and pause it. But before it was pausable, you didn't know what you were watching. You were just,
Right.
I hope I catch the title at the end credits. But yeah, I was about 12 or 13 when I saw this, and I was surprised to see a little girl that was about my age supposedly doing these things. And I
Hmm.
was just really fascinated by it.
Yes, for me, watching it now as an adult, the first thing that struck me was I didn't know Brooke Shields was even in the movie until I saw her name, and
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "Whoa, Brooke Shields! Wait a minute!" So I'm doing math in my head, and I'm like, "This got to be her first movie, possibly second." Um, but yeah, as an adult watching and especially since we've been watching movies all these years, it's like you get accustomed to kids being in danger, but not really
Mm-hmm.
being in danger.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, oh, and she really did this right there in the church, and then it was kind of not graphic, but the implications were graphic
Mm-hmm.
because you see her choking out her sister, then she throws her in this box and sets her on fire. And I was like, whoa, we really doing some things, and yeah, I had to check the year again. It was like 76. I'm thinking, okay, yeah, this is after Texas Chainsaw and all that kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. So I really appreciated that scene. And we get her home. Well, they're planning a funeral, and eventually Dad pops up. He just comes, riding up late to the to the
Mm-hmm.
funeral. And what did you think about Dad as a character overall?
It seemed like he was torn between his ex-wife and his current wife.
Very, very. I was I wasn't quite ready for that because at first they kind of stand off with each other. So at first I was like, okay, so they're just going to be antagonistic and going back and forth with one another the whole time. And they kind of did that, but yeah, like you said, he's very clearly torn about where he really wants to be or who he really loves or however you want to put that. I don't know. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
you had anything to add to
Well,
that. I don't know.
at first he seemed aloof towards his ex-wife, but then as they were trying to uncover the mystery of who killed their daughter, they kept getting like closer and closer back together. And it could just have been like comfort in the familiar for them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, because my thought was just like I said, he's just torn, and he maybe they got when they got separated, got divorced. That it was an event kind of thing that happened, and they just couldn't get together on that event. But it's not like a whole love loss and bitterness and all that stuff going on. That was kind of my thought about it. And the mom, what do you think of mom overall?
She was overly permissive with Alice. Like Alice needed her butt whooped. I'm sorry, but she just was so overly permissive.
I thought she was that way with really with both of them
Yes, yeah.
before Karen passes, and just from a parent standpoint, I'm like, there's just no control here whatsoever,
Hmm.
and
And all the
it was
yelling at that age, they were too old to be yelling the way they were yelling. They were
yeah,
acting more like a 4 and 5 year old than a 12 and 13-year-old girl.
right, right, and it was constant, and it was and it was always Alice as the aggressor from
Hmm.
what we see, and just from being around kids, I know that can't be the case, right?
And,
They both have to be at some point. One is the aggressor, and so is
yeah.
the other.
And I was just thinking to myself, as a person with several sisters, Karen was such a punk. Because me and
Yes,
my sister just would have been fighting.
yes, exactly,
You do that to
exactly.
me, I'm gonna pop you, and then you're gonna pop me back, and then we're just gonna be fighting.
Right, right, right. I mean, that's what siblings do.
Hmm.
So I mean, that kind of lets me know that mom was always there to step between them and take her side of things.
Hmm.
And Alice, of course, picks up on that, and I think that has a lot to do with how she acts, how she behaves.
Hmm.
Um, another character that was very interesting was the aunt Annie.
Hmm.
Um, she, I think she was maybe a conduit for the audience in some ways.
Yeah, she
Did
kind of was
she?
like the stand-in for us. She was asking all the questions that the audience would have, and she was having the reactions that the audience would have. Even down to she even says at one point, I should be, not in these same words, but she says something to the effect of, Alice, you need your butt whooped.
Yes, she does. She does. And so I was rooting for her. If nobody
Hmm.
else in the movie, I was rooting for her the entire movie. Because yeah, she's like you said, she steps in and just says what we're thinking. And
Hmm.
so she was, pretty easily my favorite character. And then my least favorite character, um, the landlord, Mr.
Oh God.
Alfonso, right? I think his name is Alfonso.
Yeah, it's like they designed him to be everything distasteful and disgusting that you could think of. Even down to the stains on the front of his pants. Like you could almost smell him through the screen. And I don't know why they shaved his eyebrows off to make him look even weirder. Because you could
Yeah,
tell that they shaved his eyebrows off. I'm like, they really want him to be as repulsive as possible.
yeah. As soon as I saw him from the first scene, and for people in the chat, if you haven't seen it, what's happening is he's the landlord. He lives downstairs in the apartment downstairs from Alice and her family. And every so often, Alice's mom would just send her down to this guy's apartment to either to take something. Right? She
Mm-hmm.
takes a plate one time. She's taking the rent check another time, or she's stopping in to ask him a question. And I know he's the landlord, so she's seen this dude. How you keep sending your daughter down to see this guy?
Exactly.
Yeah, and he's like the creepiest, most
Mm-hmm.
repulsive dude you could possibly think. And during the movie, I mean, he actually does make advances on Alice. Every
Mm-hmm.
time she's anywhere near him. So my first thought was, okay, you're earning your death like really fast.
Mm-hmm.
You are earning every bit of your death. Let me see if anybody else is popped in or has something to say.
My one thing about the actor,
Yeah,
though,
go for it.
it felt like it. Each time I watch this movie, his characters always seems weird to me because the actor seems um, for lack of a better term, the actor seems gay. like, why are you
Yeah.
making him like women? I'm like, I can clearly see this man does not like women, but okay, it's a role. He got paid for that, so let him
So
let him work.
you know what? That might feed into what I was gonna say about him. I'll get back to the chat in a second. But
Hmm.
um his line deliveries were weird.
Yeah.
His overall vibe works for the character, but his
Hmm.
line deliveries were off. It was
Hmm.
like something's not right about about this.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's what I didn't pick up on that you did. So that it makes sense.
Hmm.
Tony just saying that he is hardworking. Oh, I took it down from screen. He's just working hard, so he has a hard time responding, and I'm sure everybody understands that. And
Hmm.
easy answer, I guess this was to my horror question. She loves gore and has a bloodlust that can't compare.
Yeah, I like bloody, disgusting things.
Yes, this is Lady Shasha knows what's up and love Fatal Attraction and Hand That Rocks the Cradle are so good,
Hmm.
and Basic Instinct and
Yes.
the Poison Ivy movies and
Hmm.
all those good stuff. Well, I don't get that, but he says, "Hey, gorgeous
Oh, well,
Andel,
thank
how are
you.
you?" Everyone, please hit the like button. Thank you, guy. I'm a little jealous guy. He never called me gorgeous, but that's all right. Patrick says he loves movies. Well, thank you, Patrick. Patrick also has a great channel. He does interview a lot of people who are involved
Hmm.
in indie filmmaking. So I do pop in to his every time. Favorite Bigfoot movie exists or Willow Creek?
I remember one of those being good and one I don't like so much. I can't remember which
I
is which though, because I watched them both on the same night.
I've seen Willow Creek, but I don't remember much about it, and I've never heard of Exist. So you got me on that one.
They're both found footage, but I liked one better than the other, and I think one of them is directed by Bobcat Goldthwait.
Okay, that's interesting. He's an interesting person, and to be honest, Bobcat Goldthwait in the '80s could have played this role of
Hmm.
Alfonso.
Oh
That
yeah.
that that's funny. Favorite found footage besides Wreck?
Hmm. Let me think, because I really like Wreck a lot. Um,
While you're thinking, mine, I don't. Maybe Cloverfield. Maybe the first Paranormal Activity.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too. The first Paranormal Activity is really good. Yeah, because Wreck is my favorite. Why did he say besides Wreck? That's my favorite one is Wreck. Yeah, I'll go with the first Paranormal Activity also. Well, Paranormal Activity 2 is really good. And the third, know
And
what?
the third, the first
The
three are
third
really
one, the
good.
first three are really good.
Yeah, they are. The first 3 are
Mhm.
really good. And I'm not a found footage fan. Interesting because we're gonna talk more found footage later, but
Mhm.
I'm not generally a found footage fan. So if I think they're great, I hold them in really high regard. All
Mhm.
movies are great, and Alice, Sweet Alice, definitely due for a rewatch from us.
Mhm.
And yes, she did. Mom messed up. So I guess we're talking about
Alice
how
Weird.
she acted in the movie. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes, Alice definitely needed some discipline. No doubt. She certainly shouldn't have let them go to that dude downstairs. Yes,
Mhm.
absolutely. So that was my thing with mom's like, how? Because I've got 2 daughters. I'm like, hey, no way. I'm not sending them to
Mhm.
see this guy. Even if he is my landlord, that's not happening. Is that if your eyebrow isn't a paid actor, I automatically don't trust you. Yes, his line deliveries were very weird. Yes, off. And wow, I thought it was Harvey Firestein at first.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. He's getting the same vibe I was getting. I'm like, that actor is
yeah.
absolutely gay.
Now
I
that
don't
you
know
say
why
that,
they're making him play this role.
yeah, I haven't thought about Harvey Firestein in years. And
Mhm.
if you're on the younger side in my chat, you're just gonna have to go look up some clips of him. You know,
Yes.
he was a good actor.
I always
But
remember him in was it Independence Day? I have to go get my
yeah,
mother.
yeah, yeah. Bobcat is crazy. Yes, he is. He is
Mhm.
absolute crazy. And then I'm gonna end it with this one, Blair Witch Project, the OG, and I'm gonna disappoint everybody because I can't stand that damn movie. But anyway,
Oh, I have nostalgia for that movie because I was one of the people in the chat rooms um,
ah,
like a
so
year before that movie came out, and I followed because I used to have the people pop up. They would pop up in chat rooms just talking about how they were going to go check out this Burkittsville witch, and then they would
ah,
direct us to the website. And we would read about the Burkittsville witch, and then like 3 months before the movie came out, they just stopped coming through the chat room. So everyone really thought that they disappeared.
okay. So
It was like it's the
you were
first
one of the
viral
ones that was
marketing
like, "This
thing.
is real,
Yeah.
right?"
hmm I was in a
Okay.
computer lab in school. I was in college at the time, but we were you're supposed to be paying attention, but they put the internet on the computer, so I mean we're gonna play on the internet on the computers during class.
Yeah, yeah,
hmm
absolutely, absolutely. So you were there thinking that it was, you were down like, "Oh, these people really died. I gotta see what
Yeah,
happened."
we really thought it was gonna be a documentary about finding them when we went to the movies, and then it turned out to be a found footage horror movie. Because they really marketed it as, oh, this is the documentary because we have some of the footage they shot, and then we're going to interview the people around. And in the trailers, they would show the interviews of the people. So we all went to go see this documentary that turned out to not be a documentary.
They absolutely did, and I think I might have had the experience ruined for me because I read a review that
hmm
kinda led on that it was not a real thing, and I was a little bit older, so it was
hmm
like so when I watched it, I just sat there kinda twiddling my thumbs most of the time,
Yeah,
and
it doesn't work without the viral marketing lead up. I think. Like if it were a young person were to ask me, oh, am I gonna like Blair Witch Project? I'm gonna say probably not because it was you had to be there type of
yeah,
thing.
yeah, I would definitely agree with that. You had to be there and you had to kinda be invested
hmm
in what's happening. Back to Alice, Sweet Alice, um, we so we also meet a couple of people in the church. We got the priest and we got the lady
hmm
who works with her, and she's kind of an old curmudgeonly kind of lady. She's off to the
hmm
side, and we're gonna come back to her. But basically, mom and dad. I mean, there's cops. There's a cop involved, always hanging around, and he's wanting to question Alice.
hmm
And meanwhile, dad is kind of investigating things on his own because he's not happy with how the police are handling it. Where were you with how that situation's handled?
I think the police were on top of things, except for the nasty stuff they were saying about Alice.
Mm,
After they had her take the lie detector test, and
mhm.
that one detective was like, "Did you see her boobs?" And I'm like, That's a
Yeah,
child, you
that
nasty
was
ass dude.
way out of line. Yes, that
Yeah.
was way out of line. But yeah, I agree with everything you just said. Yeah, they were on top of it,
Hmm.
and I think mom and dad not letting them talk to Alice
Hmm.
kind of hindered things because they could have gotten to the solution a lot sooner than they did. Even though Alice, as the movie goes on, we know that there is something a little bit off about
Hmm.
about Alice as things
Oh,
progress.
speaking of her body, by the way, Alice is played by an actress that was 17 or 18 years old at the time that she played Alice. And I'm
Oh,
like,
I didn't
she
know
really
that.
looked like, yeah, she really looks young, like she was a middle schooler, but she was actually
She
17 or
did.
18. Yeah.
She did. I never suspected. I thought it was just a 13, 14-year-old girl.
Yeah.
So good casting choice, that's for
Hmm.
sure.
Kind of
And
reminds me of Sadie Sink from Stranger Things.
yeah,
The red
yes.
haired girl, she's one of the
Hmm.
oldest actors on the show amongst
Yeah.
the younger kids. She was like 25 now, but she looks so young.
Okay. Yeah, by now they're all 25. I mean,
Yeah.
geez, you get like 8 years between seasons, it seems.
Hmm.
But all right, so they're investigating things, and it, the pacing was a little bit weird to me, in that it it felt slow,
Hmm.
but I also felt that it picked up as the movie went on gradually. It wasn't like some movies where it's really slow and then all of a sudden everything happens at once.
Hmm.
So I thought the pacing was a gradual increase, and I really did enjoy that, the way that they handled that, because it really did start to get into slasher territory after a while.
Hmm.
And yes, I know it's called a proto slasher. Um, because at the beginning I'm like, how is this a slasher? We got her murdering her sister. It's kind of a murder mystery kind of thing. But then yeah, things happen as they go on. Um, you know what? I'm when we get to spoilers, I'll go backwards. I'll go,
Hmm.
but never mind. I had a thought just pop in my head. I'm gonna let it go for a minute. um, so let's go ahead and actually get closer to the end, and we get dad is in this big warehouse, and I'm gonna put up the spoiler alert here for this. So we get to dad. He's done all of his little investigation and has led him to this warehouse, and we see we hadn't mentioned that whoever the killer is always running around in this bright yellow raincoat, and has a clearish mask on, one that you can it's not transparent to the point where you can make out the face.
Hmm.
And I'll let you go, let you tell us what happens and how you felt about what happened first time you saw it.
Okay, so the father gets a phone call that he thinks is from his little niece, who was the other little girl that went downstairs when Alice was sent downstairs to give the landlord the leftover cake. The other little girl and the little boy that went with her are, I guess, her cousins. So he receives a phone call that he thinks is from that little girl, that she's scared and lost somewhere. So the dad goes, he's like, okay, your uncle's gonna come and get you. And he goes to the abandoned building. And that's when our killer, um, he's coming up the stairs. He sees her in the yellow coat and he's following her because he thinks, oh, where's she going? And as he's coming up the stairs, she stabs him in the shoulder and he falls down the stairs. Then she hits him in the head with several bricks.
Yes.
And as she's trying to roll, she ties him up. She's trying to roll him because he's on like the second or third floor. No, fourth. It was the fourth floor because I remember counting the the windows. So I was wondering, the way they opened, it looked like the type of bay that opens to unload a 18 wheeler truck.
Right.
But why did they have them on the second, third, and fourth floor? I'm like, maybe they use a forklift to bring things in the building. I couldn't understand why it had these
Possibly.
big openings. But she was trying to roll him to throw him out the opening, but as she was leaning over, he bit down on her necklace, and she was trying to pull it out of his mouth. He would not let go of that necklace out of his mouth, and he also pulls the hood off and pulls the mask off, and the reveal is that it wasn't Alice at all. It was this lady that works in the church.
Yeah.
Just this lady that works in the church.
And like I said, first time, how'd you take that twist?
I was shocked because I dead thought it was going to be Alice because she was doing all the weird things and she was so
Mhm.
bad, and she had the same yellow coat, and I didn't know that so many people had this same yellow coat. I just thought the two sisters both had the yellow coats. But
Right.
yeah, that was. But what was most interesting is that reveal happens 30 minutes before the end of the movie. So you're
Yes,
like,
yes.
where are we gonna go now that we've revealed the killer? Where are we gonna go with this?
Right. So, and I'm gonna say this, as an adult watching it now, I knew it wasn't Alice, but if I had watched it when I was younger, I would have
Mm-hmm.
gotten the same thing. I just didn't know who it was.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my first notes, because I was taking notes when I was watching it, is if I'm gonna go all the way back to the beginning of the movie
Mm-hmm.
when Karen gets killed. My note is that Alice looks bigger.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that was my first note. I'm like, okay, so I know it's not Alice, but who is it? And that's not the character I would have picked. My
Mm-hmm.
first thought was it was the aunt,
Mm-hmm.
but then we know we find out that's obviously it can't be her. And then my next thought was, okay, mom's doing this. But then I remember, well, mom was in the church when
Mm-hmm.
Karen got killed. So I guess by process of elimination, we have to get there. So yeah, I all that to say, if I had watched this younger, I would have had the same shock and surprise. Now watching it, I got shocked only because I didn't expect that character, but I did know that it wasn't gonna be Alice. But yeah, like you said, we got like 30 minutes left in this movie. And to Dad's death scene really quickly, I thought this was a part where if it was filmed later on, even in the 80s, but definitely if it had been filmed later on, it would have been a more spectacular death,
Mm-hmm.
because well, first off, after she was hitting him in the head with the bricks, I was like, "All right, okay, he's dead." And then she's rolling him, and he wakes up. I was like, "Oh, he's not dead." And she gets him to the edge and gets him out finally. And the way he falls,
Mm-hmm.
4 stories up, and you're already incapacitated. Yes, it probably would kill you, but in a movie sense, it's like it was kind of, just kind of like anticlimactic the way he hit.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas later on, you know, he would have either landed on his head or on some kind of pike and been impaled on something, or something else would have happened. So that was a slight letdown, but then I had to chalk it up to, okay, 1976,
Mm-hmm.
and move on from there. But we do go on because we know who the killer is, but nobody else in the story knows who the killer is. And this is where mom she springs into a little more action because now she's frantically looking for her husband or ex-husband. She's frantically looking for him
Mm-hmm.
because she hasn't heard from him, and she shows up to the priest's house. And I thought that somehow the priest was in on this. I don't know if that thought ever crossed your mind or not.
No, that one didn't cross my mind actually.
Okay, okay. 'Cause that was my whole deal. I was like, "Is he in on this? Is Are they kind of a team?" Because she was awfully protective of him. Every time somebody called, she was,
Mm-hmm.
barking at him on the phone and not wanting people to see him. So that's why I had that. But that's not the case. Instead, she goes off the deep end on mom because now she's not even concealing who she is anymore. And yeah, well, you can talk to that, to how that all plays out.
When the mother comes to the house to see the priest, the woman, I guess she's kind of like their assistant. She's the assistant to the priest in the archdiocese. And she pretty much is acting strange. And she goes as far as to almost threaten the mother because she's chopping up meat or something. And she points
Mhm.
the knife at her. And just then, that's when the priest comes in and interrupts them. But she was probably this close to getting rid of the mother.
Yeah, she was very close, very close. For me, the climactic scene or the finale, I don't know, yeah, the climactic scene in the church was uh Chef's Kiss. That was what makes the movie for me, is
Hmm.
when they are coming to arrest her, and because the cops they've got it kind of figured out now, and they're coming to get her. And you combine that also, just before that, um Alice goes back to visit the landlord again, Alfonso, and we see her go in there with the yellow raincoat,
Hmm.
and she really just puts a bug on him, right? She has a jar with a bug, big cockroach, I believe, and she just lets it off, you know, puts it on his chest and walks out while he's sleeping. And then a few minutes later, our killer pops in to Alfonso's and takes care of him. My first thought was, how does she even know Alfonso? But whatever, he's
Hmm.
earned his death the entire entire movie. So
Yes.
those two scenes juxtaposed work nicely, and then the scene at the church. And while this is all going on, how are you feeling about things as this is all going on in the church?
Oh, I liked what the priest said that he helped the police because the police were like, "How are we gonna find her?" And he's like, "She never misses communion, so she's gonna show up." They were like, "She's got to know we're looking for her." He said, "Yeah, but she's still gonna show up for communion." She was that religious.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. Which is crazy to think about in one context, but
Hmm.
then in light of current events, it's not so crazy.
Hmm.
But um, but yeah, for me, that was my favorite scene because they're coming and she's got this knife and she takes it right to the priest
Hmm.
and she's really trying to get everybody at this point. But
Hmm.
I thought that was just a fabulous, fabulous scene. We're gonna take a quick look and see if anybody else has got anything to say, and then we're gonna wrap this movie up before we move on. And I do have a new person, new face in tonight. Nikki is here, Jane Doe. So
I
good
like
evening.
your default picture. That's beautiful. That lion.
Yes, it is. It is. And let's see. The Kaiju and Critter Show. I couldn't get
Hmm.
on YouTube for some reason from any device. Ooh. All gonna try switching back to Doc now. Okay.
Hmm.
Well,
Yeah, that's Doc Kaiju. I think he has two accounts.
yeah, I've
Hmm.
seen him in your streams.
Hmm. He
Tony
does a
Man
good
never.
he does a
Yeah.
good podcast with Julie B Deep Dives. They've been
Okay.
doing a lot of deep dives into From. I don't know if you've seen the series
I
From.
haven't seen it. I'm familiar with it. I just haven't watched it yet.
Oh, you got to get into it. It's really really good. And Harold Perrineau, he should have gotten all the Emmys, but
Okay.
he should have been gotten all the Emmys for everything he's done. He's just an amazing actor. But
He is, and yeah, I
yeah.
need to see something different from him. So I gotta watch this because my last image of him is in Claws.
Oh yeah, I loved him in Claws. He did so well. He did
Yes, he
so
did.
well, especially since I have a nephew that has autism and I have an uncle that has autism, and he the way he played that character, he didn't make it laughable or offensive. He like really tried to capture how certain types of autistic people may behave. I thought it was very nuanced the way he played that character.
Yeah. For anybody not familiar with Claws, Claws is kind of a trashy nighttime soap.
Hmm.
A woman owns a nail salon. Niecy Nash plays
Hmm.
the main character. She owns a nail salon, but on the side, she's also been involved in a lot of crime. And she was trying to get out of that life and gets dragged back in. Is a really fun show.
Hmm.
I hate that it ended abruptly. They didn't really finish it properly.
Yeah.
Um, so my family and I, we used to watch it. And Steve said he warned you. I'm not sure what the warning was
Oh,
about.
that's for Tony Man because he was saying I've never seen Alice Sweet Alice. Thanks for the spoilers, but I know that
Okay.
he's probably listening, but didn't pay
Didn't see the
attention when we
spoil. Didn't
said
see the
because
spoil.
you said you were going to get in spoiler territory and you put up a spoiler banner.
Oh,
So, but
okay,
because
okay.
he's at work, he probably got
Probably didn't get to
interrupted and
see it.
came back and missed it. But that's all right.
Got you, got you,
Mhm.
got you. Okay, sorry about that, Tony. Yeah, there's Tony's quotes. I had it up there forever. I just didn't read it for some
Mhm.
reason. Yeah, never seen Alice, Sweet Alice. Thanks for spoilers. All right, all right. So we're gonna wrap it up with my final thoughts, my overall thoughts, since it's my first time watching uh Alice, Sweet Alice, and right off the bat, I'm just gonna say I really enjoyed the movie. I wasn't sure going in because 70s slashers and I are kind of hit and miss.
Mhm.
Like Black Christmas, I don't really like, and a few others I don't really like, but like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I really love, and even Halloween, I'm not the hugest fan of. I love it, I get it, it's iconic, I like it, but it's not like my favorite slash or anything. So I wasn't sure. Um, but I really did like this, and like I said, the pacing played a part in it because it felt like it started off slow, but then it gradually increased. It wasn't just jarring change or jarring twist. All the characters were pretty colorful, and they gave me something to chew on, whether I liked them or disliked them. and that's kind of important for me. I don't necessarily have to like characters, but I have to have something to hold on to with them. I have to have a reason whether I'm invested in them or hate them with all my guts. I have to have something, and this movie gave me that with all of those characters. And then, like I said, that finale in the church is just it's a marvelous uh, send off for this movie, and even a threat of a sequel. But unfortunately, we never got one because of some things that happened with Alice at the very, very end. So, all in all, anybody who hasn't seen it, even though it's been spoiled a little bit for you, Tony, I would still check out Alice, Sweet Alice. I would say give it a few months, forget about whatever happened on this stream, and then watch the movie. You won't even remember. So, that's all my final thoughts on Alice, Sweet Alice. Before I move on, was there any part of the movie that you wanted to discuss that we didn't bring up?
Um, the only thing that kind of bothered me about Alice Sweet Alice, and that people who watch my stream know that, I mean, somebody on my stream nicknamed me the Blood Goldilocks because I will criticize the blood in certain movies. The blood in this movie looked like paint, like red paint, and it bothered me the whole time. I'm like, that none of this looks like real blood, and that's irritating. but other
I
than
get
that,
it, and that's one of those things I chalk up to 1976.
mm-hmm.
Because I watch I don't know if you can see them, but over here I have two sets of black exploitation classics.
Oh
And
yes,
if you're familiar with black exploitation movies, the blood in
mm-hmm.
that looks like bright red Kool-Aid or something.
Oh
So
yeah, it's
most
just
of the time.
I don't know why, but PD Wheatstraw popped into my head. I don't know why that
Oh
one
yeah.
popped into my head.
Oh yeah, Pee Wee's I'm at, yeah, I'm gonna be watching that one pretty soon actually
Mm-hmm.
because that's the one Dolomite not the one Dolomite movie or the one Rudy Ray Moore movie I haven't really seen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've seen the rest, and
Yes.
so I've got to watch that one. I just bought it recently,
Mm-hmm.
so I will definitely be checking that out. And let's move on to the next movie, and I can take down this spoiler banner and put back up the other good banner. And all right, so my movie, the movie I had my guest watch for the very first time, is Europa Report. And this is a found footage film, but we're not running through the woods in this one. We are traveling through space.
Mm-hmm.
We meet the crew of the Europa One.
Mm-hmm.
They are on a mission to Europa, which is a moon of Jupiter. So they're traveling much, much further than any human being has ever gone, and they let you know that several times in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and of course, things have gone haywire. Now, if you just put your basic science hat on, from what we know here on Earth, there are no known signs of life anywhere. And it would take a really long time to get to Jupiter, as we've never even been further than the moon. So combine all those things and technology, because technology goes wrong. The people here on Earth have they lost contact with the people from Europa One quite a while ago, and we get a briefing. So it's not 100% found footage. We get a briefing where a lady is informing us of when they lost contact and what's been going on the ground since, and how worried they are. And then we cut to the found footage part of the film. First question for you is: were you familiar with the movie at all? As did you know it was a found footage movie, or did you know anything about it?
No, I heard of the title, but I did not know it was found footage. And honestly, I when I was watching, I forgot that it was found footage.
Okay. While you were watching it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay,
I
how
completely forgot. I was so immersed in it, I forgot that it was found footage completely. Because of just how everything was put together, I really liked. They did like three different ways of doing kind of exposition, and
mhm,
I wrote them in my notes. I thought it was really interesting. The first one was they did a news segment where they were just interviewing. It was like a press conference news segment,
right.
but the scroll at the bottom of the press conference was giving you all these details, like how they had been working on this program for 3 years, that their plan to have the people in the Europa for 18 months, and I think there was something, and it was the first manned craft going into deep space. It was all these little nuggets of information scrolling across the bottom of the screen. The second bit of exposition they gave us was on the spacecraft. One of the characters has a child, and so he makes these kind of vlog style videos
Hmm.
to his that he's meant to send to his child. So he introduces different characters, or he shows you different parts of the space shuttle, like their command center, and it's all giving you more information that way. You don't feel like it's clunky dialogue exposition. It's just information given to you. And then the third way I noticed was in interview clips. You learn about the
Hmm.
different crew members because it's presented to you as, oh, these are all their interviews before they went on this mission. They would show you little clips of, oh, I really like to do this, or I'm into zoology and botany, or I'm an oceanographer, something like that. I thought that was a very clever way of giving the information to the audience without it feeling like a clunky line of dialogue. Like I make this joke on my channel a lot. I hate when one character looks at another character and goes, "Well, you are my brother."
Yeah.
It's so lazy. It's so lazy. Just have the characters interact, and like perfect example. Back in the day, if you go back and watch Lost Boys,
Yeah.
and when they first are interacting with each other, you just know that they're siblings. You don't have to be told they're siblings. You do get told that the Frog brothers are brothers because just the way he was telling his brother about them. But other than that, like you typically in a lot of 80s movies, they don't say that they're siblings. They just have them interact. And you as the audience can gauge, oh, these people are siblings. Because how they're talking to each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a pet peeve of mine. So this movie did not have any clunky exposition. It had very clever exposition, and it was a lot of
Yeah.
information to give you. Because it's very interesting to say this. A lot of the action doesn't happen on screen, but does happen on screen. It's mostly implied, like with
Hmm.
each character that gets kind of got. It's implied. You don't really see what or whom is doing it until the very end of the movie. Like almost the
Hmm.
last scene in the movie, you see, oh, this is what is doing this.
Correct. Um, the way they did the exposition, just to piggyback off of you for a second,
Hmm.
it also, I think, helped keep the runtime manageable.
Yes.
So it's a 90-minute movie, and so we didn't have that extra half hour because a lot of movies now they're just padding it to get to 2 hours for whatever
Hmm.
reason.
Oh,
And
I found out the reason. By the way, I'll let you finish, and I'll come back to it.
okay, so I was just gonna say we
Hmm.
don't have that half hour of we got to get everybody's backstory shown and walk through. We just like you said, we get it in all of these different ways, and it's pretty quick and digestible. You can look at it, and if you miss it, because people watch movies and miss things. If you miss it, it it comes back around. Most of these, like somebody will say something in passing, and it's like, oh yeah, okay, this is what's happening. So it's not anything that is going to be I don't think anything that's gonna alter your experience with the film if you miss something. But I'll let you go ahead and finish your other thought.
Oh, I was just gonna say I found out from two different horror directors of more current horror movies. The production studios insist that their movie is at least 90 minutes. So even if they don't want to make it 90 minutes, they have to.
I'm fine with 90.
Mhm.
I'm just like we don't need an 120-minute horror
Yeah,
movie
yeah.
most of the time. So that's like my one big beef with like the Terrifier movies.
I was gonna say Damien Leone. I
Yeah,
was gonna say we're talking about you, Damien Leone. We don't need a 2 hour killer clown movie. We
right,
don't.
right. We can get it 90 to 100
Hmm.
minutes. We can get that bad boy done. We can get all the gore you want in there and have a
I
great time 'cause they just
I
drag stories out.
I bet you Terrifier 4 is gonna make it 3 hours just to
Oh.
be a jerk.
Probably. I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it. You got a favorite character in Europa Report?
No, no, well, I would say um, the character that I seemed to connect with the most was the father making the videos for his son, and I was kind of sad when he pretty much got taken out first. I
Yeah.
was like, man, I like that dude.
Yeah, yeah, that was pretty rough. Um, I think the guy most I don't know if I'm most related to him, but the one that made me happiest to see on the screen was the Andre. and the mechanic. He was
Hmm.
mainly the mechanic,
Yeah.
and yeah, he gets to stick around for a while, but he goes through he goes through some things
Oh,
when we're doing it.
yeah.
One
The
of my
character's
notes,
name was James. Yeah, because James actually sacrificed himself to save
yes,
Andre.
yes, he does,
Mhm.
he does. Talk about how did you feel during that scene?
It was tense because you want them both to survive, but at the same time, they did the right thing because his suit was contaminated, and
Hmm.
they didn't want to contaminate the whole ship. So he had to do
I
what he had
think
to do.
what really worked there for me is that the characters inside,
Hmm.
they realize his suit's contaminated, and we get actually a moment of silence.
Hmm.
There's an empty space there where we as the audience get to fill it with a little bit of dread because we know what's going to happen next. We know that okay, he can't come back in this ship,
Hmm.
right? I thought that was well done. Whereas in a lot of movies, it's the suit's contaminated, and then there's just all this arguing back and forth. No, you can't
Hmm.
do this. You got to do that. Where we don't get that in this movie. They all kind of look at each other like, yeah, that's what it means. Okay, but how? They kind of
Hmm.
try to game plan some things, but they realize that this is probably not going to
Hmm.
work, and they just kind of go to it. So I thought that really worked. In other places, there was not silence, and one of my notes was a little earlier in the movie, there, and I'm kind of looking at my notes over here, guys. Sorry. Um, when they are approaching Jupiter, I just want to make sure I was in the right place. They're approaching Jupiter, and we get to see from the outside them coming down closer to it, and the music swells, and we get all this stuff. And I thought the score was done really, really well through most of the movie, but through that scene in particular, I really, really did enjoy the score. And I don't know if you noticed the score or not at all, because
Hmm.
sometimes I don't. So I don't know if you did or if you did not.
I actually didn't notice the score too much.
Okay, perfectly fine. Because like I said, sometimes I notice it, sometimes I don't. I
Hmm.
notice it if I think it's really, really good or if I think it's really, really bad. Otherwise, I
Hmm.
don't. And that makes perfect sense. The pilot, what was her name again? Was she Rosa?
Hmm.
Rosa the pilot. How'd you feel about her? Because she was kind of,
She was very much by the book. I
yeah,
think she just tried to stay the course. She tried to do everything according to whatever their guidebook was.
yeah. She did. And I, I guess my question is, do you think you would be that by the book, or would you be trying to be a little more creative and try to do some other things?
I think I would probably try to be a little more creative, especially considering the situation they found themselves in.
Yes, yes, yes. I would agree with that. Just looking at the chat really quick, Steve says this was probably about as much as I can like a found footage movie. Good. It still irritated me a bit, but that's just me.
Hmm.
So I'm going to come back to that comment in a second. Let me take a quick look and see what we have. Jason Morbies, 90 minutes is a good minimum, although sometimes they should allow less. Host was 56 minutes and was great.
Yes.
And that movie, Waiting to Exhale with Aliens, was all filler. I've never heard of that.
It's he's talking about the movie Run. There's a movie
Oh, okay.
on Tubi. It's called Run, and it's about some aliens that attack this group of black bridesmaids and a runaway bride that they're staying at a cabin, and it's directed by Chris Stokes. I don't know if you know who that is.
I've heard the
It's
name. I'm not really familiar, but I've heard the name.
he used to be a music producer, and then he got into doing movies. And he mostly works with Marquise Houston. So if you've seen any Marquise Houston horror movies on Tubi, it's probably a Chris Stokes picture. Also starring in it is Erica Mena from Love and Hip Hop New York, and Claudia Jordan from uh, Real Housewives of Atlanta. I know this sounds
Mhm.
like a fever dream, but this is real. They play these bridesmaids that whose bridal friend, she runs out on Marquise. She was supposed to marry Marquise Houston, but she changed her mind on a wedding day, and they decide let's go on a girls' trip to a cabin, and then they get attacked by aliens. But there's a lot of scenes where they're just talking about their friendship, and that's why Tony Man called it. This is he was watching with me. He said, "This is Waiting to Exhale with aliens."
Okay.
It kind of was. It kind of was.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Wow. I don't know if I want to
It,
watch that or not.
no,
That
it was
sounds
all
wild.
filler. You could put all the alien scenes into 15 minutes, like
Oh
maybe
man.
less.
Wow. Going back to Steve's comment up here for a minute, he says about as much as I can like a found footage movie still irritated me a bit. So for me, what bothers me a lot of times about found footage films is that characters have to go out of their way to keep filming,
Hmm.
no matter what the situation. It's a life or death situation, and somebody's like, "Oh, wait," and runs back and grabs the camera
Hmm.
off the ground, or even something crazy is coming at them. They're just standing there with the camera. So that kind of irritated me a bit, and I thought this movie handled that the easiest way possible. I mean,
Yeah.
nobody's holding a camera; the cameras are just all over the ship that they're
Hmm.
in. So I really did appreciate that about the movie. Um, I didn't think they handled you. You mentioned the exposition, but how do you think they handled the relationships between all of our astronauts?
I think they did a pretty good job with them establishing like their different personalities and their little idiosyncrasies, and also
Mhm.
how I forget which character it was, but while James was doing his vlogging for his son, there's a character that's like, are you gonna film all day? Or are you gonna come and help me, or do you want to, or are you afraid of breaking your nail? I think that's what he says to him. You afraid
Yeah.
you're gonna break a nail? Like he was very kind of surly. And I
Yes.
like that they gave them these very distinct personalities. That makes the movie more interesting, especially when you're working. It's pretty much a bottle film because it takes place all in one setting with just very few characters. Was there five of them? Maybe six?
I think it's five.
Yeah.
Five, not including, of course, the people back on Earth that we
Yeah, that are
occasionally.
at the station, I guess well, they didn't say NASA, but I think it's meant
Right.
to be NASA. Yeah.
Safely
So
so.
yeah, this is a difficult thing to do. And I think a lot of people probably slept on this movie or didn't give it a lot of credit because it is more dramatic acting within a
Yes.
science fiction. Well, it's strictly sci-fi. I think
Mhm.
it has some elements of horror, but I think it's more strictly a sci-fi movie. And I think a lot of people now are more used to sci-fi and horror always being joined together at the hip and not something just being really completely sci-fi.
Yeah, and it makes sense because if you're watching it, it takes a while for you to realize that it's a horror
Hmm.
movie.
Yes.
And um, you said a lot of people didn't give it a chance. The weird thing about that is this got an excellent cast. I mean, you mentioned the acting,
Hmm.
and it's got a cast of people who they're not superstars, but they're known actors.
Hmm.
In particular, Sharlto Copley is in the movie,
Yes.
and this is not too far off from the time when he was kind of a hot thing.
Hmm.
It's not too far off from District 9 and the movies he was doing around that time. So uh, a little surprised that it is so under the radar.
Hmm.
I guess you would say. And I agree. The relationships with all those characters were really good, um, really well done, and the tension building that's happening as these characters are getting off. What did you think was happening?
I thought that something was taking them out, but I didn't know whether it was um what's the word I'm looking for? Celestial, because it kept
Uh,
on saying something about a light, and so I
yeah.
thought, is this a celestial body that's taking them, or is it organic? And so we don't get that reveal until the end of the movie.
Um, do we really get that reveal though?
Well, they show something coming out of the water at the end that kind of
They
reminded. Well, I'll let you know what it reminded me of when we go to the spoilers. But
okay, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. We'll talk
Mhm.
about it a little. We'll talk about it a little more in a few minutes. Uh, but so what I thought also was really done was just yes, these characters are getting taken out, but they made it both traumatic and dramatic.
Mhm.
So I don't if how do you are you feel on that same kind of wavelength with those?
Yeah, because they're going one by one, and it's like whittling down a small team until there's only one person left, and
Mhm.
that's got to be like. I mean, if see, I can't say what I spoil it. It would be traumatic if you were in that situation. I'll just put it that way.
Okay,
And you
okay.
feel helpless because you're in a craft. You can't just open the door and go outside because you're in space. So you're kind
Right,
of
you
stuck,
are
and
absolutely.
you're hearing your crewmates going through what they're going through, and they also have cameras in their helmets, so you're
Mhm.
seeing their faces. Um, Sometimes contort in pain, sometimes they're in fear. Like there's a lot of facial acting.
Yes, yes, especially when the characters are out, like you said, outside the ship,
Hmm.
and,
They're in the
one of
space
the
suits. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So one of the big scenes, for me was, one of the other lady characters, I can't remember her name, but she's outside the ship,
Hmm.
and she has accomplished what she's wanted to accomplish. Because again, people who haven't seen it, they've landed on essentially a block of ice,
Hmm.
and they've got to drill down beneath it. They're trying to get some information to extract and bring back to Earth, and what they think they need is underneath the ice. And so they needed her to get to a certain point. She gets there, she does what she wants to do, but then she kind of looks up and she's taken by whatever she sees. We never see it,
Hmm.
but we see her face, and it is, I mean, it's full of amazement.
Hmm.
So I thought that was really well done, and it was so amazing. Whatever it was, she just was compelled to go closer to it. And when we cut back to inside the ship, they're like, "We lost her camera. We can't see her. She's moving. We can tell though she's moving further away from the ship. We can't get her back."
Hmm.
And then she just kind of, it was an interesting death because she just kind of wanders off and is never heard from again for a little while. Um, so I thought that was really well done. And again, building those relationships between the characters, strengthening those death scenes, for me at least.
I agree.
All right. And oh, we got Doxy says, "Yay! I had to keep keep hitting retry. There is a YouTube outage happening. Uh-oh! But if you press retry enough times, you can eventually get it to play. Uh, I hope that's not too bad because I've got the stream actually playing on my phone over here, and I keep looking at it. Looks like it's
Yeah,
playing.
I have the stream playing on my phone too.
Okay,
I only had to hit retry to get the chat to pop back up, but it could
okay,
be yeah. But at first, when I first clicked on it, it did say retry, and I hit it one time, and it popped up. So, um, it could be just sporadic. Hopefully,
okay.
we're doing all right.
Hopefully, and sometimes, yeah, there you go. Sometimes it won't load the chat.
Yeah. What I do find when I do these live streams that a lot of people watch the replay.
Yes.
So even if it's out, you're gonna get more people watching the replay a lot of times.
Yep, and
Hmm.
speaking of that, yeah, if you're watching the replay, please go ahead in the comments. Let me know if you've seen either Alice, Sweet Alice, or Europa Report. Let me know what you think of it. Let you know what you think of. Let me know what you think of our thoughts on the movie. Maybe you agree, maybe you disagree, maybe we're both crazy. And for people in the chat, especially, go ahead and subscribe to both my guests and each other because
Hmm.
there are a lot of great
Yes.
content creators in the chat. And let's go ahead and talk about these spoilers. Let's go ahead and talk about these. So Tony, spoilers. Listen up.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and talk about these spoilers. So we get to the end, and
Hmm.
yes, something is coming at our final girl, for lack of a better term. And yeah, she is a final girl, just not
Hmm.
like the normal final girl, I guess you would say. And go ahead and describe what's coming up behind her.
Well, in the water, the entity looks. It reminds me of the Sentinels from the Matrix. I don't know whether it's Matrix Reloaded or Matrix Revolutions. When they showed
Yeah.
the tentacled creatures that are the Sentinel, I think they're called the Sentinels. I might be
Uh,
mistaken on the name, but
mhm.
there's these tentacle creatures from the Matrix. That's what this creature looks like. Like
Yes.
it's half organic, but mostly I guess technological.
Hmm. Hmm. So that's my question, was what you thought it was, because when you said is it celestial or organic, and I'm like, well, did we really find out which it is? Because it's got a
Yeah,
lot of lights on it.
Yeah.
but it's moving fluidly. And if it's technological, who put it there?
Or is there a creature inside of it piloting it?
Right. Is there a creature inside it piloting it?
Hmm.
Um, After that happens, though, this is the part that bothered me about the movie. Um, I thought that that should have been the final scene cut in credits,
Yes, I
but
agree.
we don't get that. Okay, so you do
Yeah.
agree with that. Okay. 'Cause I wasn't sure if anybody else agree with me or not. So whenever the movie keeps going, I'm like, "Oh, why are we explaining this? We don't need to explain all this." That's the one part
Hmm.
where I thought the exposition kinda got in the way.
Hmm.
So, okay. I'm glad to see we're on the same page as far as that goes. Um, so if just throwing something out there right now. So if you're the person that did all this explaining, the person who's doing the debriefing, the ladies back on Earth, you've seen this footage, you know what's happening. Do you retry? Do you send more people?
No, no.
Okay, okay. Because I ask because we do things like that. We'll still send
Hmm.
somebody else out there to be like, well, let's find out what happened. And essentially, that's how we got Alien. So
Hmm.
the first Alien movie, or better yet, Sunshine. That's also how we got Sunshine. It's like, oh, there's a
Hmm.
ship. Let's go find out what went wrong with it, or Event
Oh,
Horizon.
I was about to say Event Horizon.
Yeah, yeah. So
Hmm.
yeah, I'm with you. I would not try to find out. Oh, and thank you for the kind words, Shasha. I heard that, but couldn't respond earlier. So when you were talking about his live streams,
Hmm.
and I think that's the last one. We're going to get ready to wrap it up. I want to give you time between this and your
Oh
next
yeah.
thing. So I'm going to ask you for your overall thought. Well, before I do that, anything about the movie that I did not touch on that you wanted to kind of go back and forth with?
No, I think we covered it pretty well. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, your overall thoughts, how well you liked it or disliked it, or however you felt about it, or anything else you want to say about Europa Report.
I like the way, like I said before, I love the way it was put together. I like the acting in it. I like the way the story unfolds. I think if you're a person that's really into action-packed sci-fi horror, this may not be for you. But if you like more cerebral, thought-provoking sci-fi horror, I think this would be for you. I think its weakest thing is just the reveal of the creature at the end. I was a little bit let down by that because it didn't wow me. But I think for the budget that they had, I think they did a good job with it.
Okay. Very, very good. Glad to hear that. So I'm gonna chalk it up as a win. I guess you can chalk up Alice Sweet Alice as a win because I also enjoyed that. Let's see if there are any other last minute comments. And I have Steve who says, not anytime soon, jumping from a moon. I was talking about sending back. Jumping from a moon landing to free in Europe is way too big a jump. Test things with a couple trips to Mars first.
Yes.
Uh, yeah, fair enough. Because I was wondering that while watching the movie. I'm like, wait, how do we jump from Mars to way out to Jupiter? That's crazy. All right.
And even how we
So,
did Mars, we sent a Mars rover, which is like a robotic, you know, reconnaissance thing. They would have done that before sending a manned mission there. I
yeah,
think. I hope.
yeah, this we just went full on. Okay, hey, we can get there. Let's go.
Hmm.
And without testing anything, they just sent live bodies, cannon fodder, basically,
Hmm.
to go out here. All right, I'm gonna give you the floor. I'm gonna give you the big screen, and
Yeah.
you can tell people where they can find you, what you have planned next,
Hmm.
and anything else you want to tell the people. Uh, go
Absolutely.
for it.
Okay. I am Lady Shasha, Mistress of the Snark, Connoisseur of Gore, and your hostess with the mostest. I am available at Horror Freak on, let's see, Instagram, TikTok. There is a app called Slasher, which is really great for horror fans. It's similar to Twitter, but without the racism, homophobia, sexism, and all that other negative stuff that comes with Twitter. And yet, we're never calling it X. It's always going to be Twitter. But we have Slasher now. I'm also on Threads, also at Horror Freak, and my channel is Horror Freak, or you could also type in Lady Shasha. You can find me there. Tonight, I will be live at 10:30 p.m. for Horror Week, which is kind of a live stream interactive news program where I tell you everything that's going on with upcoming horror, new releases, as well as any horror news. Tomorrow, I'll be back. I'll be joined by Tony Man, and we will be talking about Good Boy, The Black Phone 2, and what's it called? I'm forgetting the name of the third movie. Something Lake. Well, it's another slasher movie. It's called Something Lake, but our program would be What We Watched Last Weekend, and it is a visual podcast, so you can listen to it or you can watch it. And we'll be talking about 3 new movies. On Friday, I'll be back with a watch along for Drive-In Massacre. And then earlier on Friday, I will be having the director and a few cast members from Evil Nun on for a interview. The director is Jose Prendez, and the movie is Evil Nun, and we will be having a interview at around 5:30 Eastern Standard Time. Now it's going to bug me what that third movie is and why I can't remember it. I'm going to see it at the movies tomorrow, and I'm like, what is the name of that movie?
All right. Well, as you can see, guys, she's got a lot of content going
Yeah,
on. It's great content. As you've heard tonight, she's very knowledgeable. And every time I go to and watch one of my guest streams, I come away with more movies that I need to see. So if you're looking for horror movies to watch,
I
just
found
go
it.
hang out in the chat for a while. She'll come up with some recommendations, and I'm gonna go big screen here. What we got
Oh,
here?
it's Bone Lake. I don't know why I couldn't remember. We will be talking about Good Boy, The Black Phone 2, and Bone Lake.
There you go. All right. So yeah, check her out a few times this week, even. All
Mm-hmm.
right, and just to yeah, he put it in the
Thank
chat.
you.
I'll also show that one up. But
Mm-hmm.
thank you, twins. This is great conversation. And yes, put up Bone Leg.
Thank
As for
you.
my channel, like I said, I have a series where I'm working my way through uh, movies from 2000 to 2025. I'm going to do my top 10 of every year. I'm up to 2004. That video will premiere tomorrow evening. I'm putting the finishing touches on that now. And so come hang out in the chat about 25, 30 minutes, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll be watching it with you guys. And then periodically for the rest of the year, I'll be releasing those videos.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't lined up my next movie swap just yet. I do have a couple people I'm talking to, but I will let you know when they are ready. Next video I know for sure. I'm doing movie theater memories. That's the series where I talk about my best, sometimes worse, experiences going to the movies to see certain things. And since it's October, I got to do something spooky. And my guest actually has on the shirt. I'm going to talk about my experience when I went to see A Nightmare on Elm Street, 1984.
Oh, you got to see
So
that in the theater. Oh, you're so lucky.
I did, and it is a very good story, if I must say so myself. So be on the
Mhm.
lookout for that video. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Thank you to my guests
Thank
for showing
you.
up. I appreciate it. Go check out her stream later. That's all I have for you guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. If you've been here before, thanks for hanging out with me again. Bye bye.